Do you know how hard it is to actually make a TBR schedule and stick to it? You know, I thought that with the way that this was set up with JordanCon and everything, that I was going to be able to stick to a schedule. Finally, I was going to stick to my Cosmore schedule. I was going to stick to my Dresden Files schedule. I was going to stick to my Wheel of Time schedule. But obviously, as you guys know, events happen that kind of, muck these things up. So let's talk about the plans going forward for the rest of March and then into April, May, and June. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike here with another little update for you. I know that there's been a lot of these kinds of things lately and, less of actual content because schedules have just kind of gotten wacky. But I did want to update you guys if you haven't been watching my weekly updates about on the actual reading and video schedule plans going forward. There are going to be some slight alterations. I talked about how with JordanCon getting canceled that perhaps I was just going to revert back to my old schedule. Not exactly. It's been a kind of amended a little bit, but a decision that I talked about was that if I finished The Gathering Storm, and since I didn't feel like I was in that race against the clock anymore, that maybe I was just going to go back to my old schedule of doing one Wheel of Time book a month and, basically finish that off by the summer or whatever. Well, I can tell you with about 200 pages left in this book and already being able to tell that it's not going to end in a way that's going to feel like I can stop. I am not going to do that. While I am not going to be, like I said, that race against the clock before JordanCon, I have eased back just a tad on it. Some of that's by choice, some of it is not, as you know, with what's going on in the country right now, that it's hard to stick to a real schedule, because kids are here. And that's fine, but we want to make sure that we, giving our kids homeschooling takes priority over fun things or whatever. But I am going to continue to do this to where I'm going to finish The Gathering Storm, and then I'm going to obviously kick the Towers of Midnight and Memory of Light in April. So, my plan right now, reading-wise, is to finish The Gathering Storm, make sure that I pick up the 11th Metal, which is a short story that connects to the Mistborn, original Mistborn trilogy, and talk about that when I talk about my final Mistborn March thing. But something that I also decided that means is that since I can ease back a little bit on the Wheel of Time schedule, that means I ain't got to wait to pick back up Dresden Files. I did go ahead and, I've told you before that I like to kind of counterbalance these things, but since I was in such a rush, and I think I had to average like 85 pages a day to make the JordanCon schedule, since I don't have that deadline anymore, I can add back in some counter reading, and I did pick up Deadbeat, and I read like the first 50 pages in like the first sitting, so very good. I think that there's not a single person who has told me that this isn't like one of their favorites Dresden Files books, and I can see why. I'm about 80 pages into it now. So that's kind of what's happening at this moment. But like I said, I'm going to finish Towers of Midnight and Memory of Light. That's my goal in April as far as reading. And then late April, if I finish those at a decent pace, I don't know, those are two meaty little books there. I feel like the late April and then through May is just going to be dedicated to reading Dresden Files, because I don't know what's going to happen with this whole thing that's going on right now. I don't know how much is going to get shut down, how much is not. I was approved for an advanced reader copy of Peace Talks, and like I've said in previous videos, I want to be waiting on it. I don't want it to be waiting on me. I don't know if that's still going to happen. I haven't heard anything back. I did get the approval, and then, that's it. I've never gotten one of these before. So it's all new to me. So I don't know how this works or if what's going on right now is going to change that. But like I said, I would rather be waiting for it. So I am going to just pedal to the metal, and I'd like to be done with those by, beginning of June. I've said that if I felt like if I just buckled down and just read just Dresden Files, I could probably read this series in a month. It's not really a problem to read these books. They're fun, and they're a good time, and they're not difficult to read. So I'm pretty sure, you can buckle down and get to those really quick. But I just wanted to kind of let people know that doesn't mean that's all that the content on the channel is going to be. It's not going to be just Wheel of Time or Dresden Files. Obviously, I'm going to mix things up like I have been. But before I get into that, I want to finish the reading schedule. And in June, I have had to push back Era 2 of Mistborn for this. So Era 2 of Mistborn is not going to start until June with Alloy of Law. And like I said, it depends on that reading copy for Priest Talks. If I don't get it in June, then hit it in July when it comes out, just like everybody else. So that's going to happen then. If It Bleeds is a new Stephen King novella, or I guess it's 4 stories collections, kind of like he's done in the past with like different seasons and things like that. That comes out in May, but I'll push it for this. I'll push it probably back to June. But as you guys can tell, Stephen King stuff usually goes straight to the top of the list. So if I wasn't tied down to Dresden Files, I would definitely be reading that upon release. I requested a advanced reader copy of that twice, got no reply. So that's kind of what I'm used to. Scribner hasn't quite talked to me yet. I've gotten through to Orbit, and I've gotten through to Penguin Random House, things like that. So hey, baby steps, right? But I do plan to pick that up, and then once I'm done with that, and I feel like all I have left is just Cosmere stuff that I'm stuck hard to, I can start picking up things like The Witcher again, Right Era. I want to finish that. Finish the Millennium series. So there's the little mop-up duty of all the series I say I want to finish. Demon Cycle. So it all can kind of flow in there, but the big thing, like I said, I want to talk to you about is the video schedule, how the video schedule is going to change. Just because I'm buckling down on just Wheel of Time and just Dresden Files, guys, I don't want you thinking that that's all the content that there's going to be. I'm going to keep doing my weekly updates. I'm going to finish Mistborn March, like I said. I'm going to wrap 11th Metal into that because that's a real quick read. I'm not too worried about that. But some of the other things I kind of want to talk about that I'm going to do during that time is I'm going to continue my Why You Should Read series. Those seem to go over pretty well. I talked in my weekly update that there are some changes I'm going to be making to some of my reviews. I tried to apply my Wheel of Time review methods to the Sanderson Cosmere stuff, and it just didn't work out that well, and that's fine. I feel like you've got to make mistakes to learn, and I am learning from those. And Sanderson fans aren't quite the same as Wheel of Time fans. Just because Sanderson wrote for Wheel of Time doesn't mean that they're going to feel the same way about those reviews. So I think when it comes to like long-running series, with a few exceptions, I don't think I'm going to be doing individual reviews for those because, like I said already, that spoiler reviews already don't get nearly as many views as everything else. And it's not just about views, but it is about algorithms, and it is about retention. And if I'm making a spoiler review and someone clicks on it and they watch it for 2 minutes and it's a 30-minute review, that harms your algorithm. So again, really it's just about growing the channel, anything like that. So I'm going to be making adjustments based off of feedback like that, not just from actual voices, but from some data and things like that. But the Why You Should Read stuff is something I feel like usually goes over pretty well with both the people who want to talk about it and then say, hey, you can talk about spoilers in the comments, kind of thing, something like that. Trying to find a good balance there. But I'm going to be continuing the Why You Should Read with Michael Crichton. I definitely want to talk about Michael Crichton. I talked about it in a recent book haul about how important Michael Crichton was to just defining the kind of things that I like to read when I was a teenager, and plenty to say about him. I'd also like to do a Why You Should Read on the Red Rising series. I tried to do my individual reviews on Red Rising, and I did those non-spoiler, and I still didn't really either convince very many people, and they didn't really get very much traffic or discussion. So I'm thinking maybe if I set up a Why You Should Read on the Red Rising series and kind of do a hard sales job on you guys, like I've done with The Expanse and things like that, then maybe that'll go over a little better because I absolutely adore that series and I want more people to discover it, and I want to give you the real reasons why without spoiling it for you. I do intend to still do my review of Stephen King's The Outsider, the book, and then kind of make the comparisons with the show. So that'll be coming. Dresden Files and Wheel of Time reviews are going to be happening as I read them. I said I'm going to stop doing that. Obviously, Wheel of Time and Dresden Files are going to be exceptions to that because I feel like those generate enough discussion that it justifies me doing spoiler reviews. I think what I've said in those is that I feel like when it's book number 7 of a about to be 16 book series, I don't feel like you need a non-spoiler review. You're either in or you're out at that point. And many people with Dresden Files, like Wheel of Time, they have reread the series multiple times and they want to experience someone going through it for the first time and talking about it. So nothing will be changed with my Dresden Files reviews. Those are going to stay the same. But yeah, like I said, once I finish reading one, I'll be doing reviews for each one of those. And then Wheel of Time, I'll continue to do my wish lists and things like that. And I have a couple of other special things planned. I had planned on doing like a Robert Jordan reflection video after I had finished Knife of Dreams and before I had started on The Gathering Storm, but time just got away from me like that, and I wasn't able to give that because I wouldn't want to do it if it was half-assed. I wanted to give it the attention it deserves, give him the recognition, and then talk about going forward with Brandon Sanderson as my new narrator or whatever. I'd still like to do that. It just might not be the same because I've already started reading the Sanderson stuff. But I still would like to give the man his due for a little bit. So that's pretty much the end of the Wheel of Time content. I don't have any shortage of Wheel of Time content coming. What else? I'm going to continue my Into the Multiverse series with Stephen King. I still plan to do one of those per month because I have a actual hard schedule for that until the end of the year. Like I said, I'm doing those in publication order. I do have a couple of surprises in there that I don't want to tell anybody about yet because it's just the part of the fun for me. The King stuff, it gets minimal discussion or whatever, but I feel like once I get into some of the bigger heavy hitters, so to speak, of his books, maybe I'll get a little more discussion. I felt like The Shining got more discussion than Salem's Lot, and Salem's Lot got more discussion than Carrie. So, maybe would I do The Stand in April? Maybe that can, with what's going on in the world right now, The Stand is actually a very, very hot point of discussion when you talk about good old Captain Trips. But yeah, that's in April. The Dead Zone is going to be in May, and then Firestarter in June, and that's where I'll kind of stop talking to you about that because that's what it is. A couple of wrap-ups. I would like to do a review of The Coming of Conan. That was 5 or 6 stories from the Chronicles of Conan that I started a while back. I did a why I decided to read, but I never reviewed The Coming of Conan, so I'd like to actually maybe talk about those a little bit. And then I've been reading Harry Potter with my 7, almost 8-year-old son. So we are currently on Prisoner of Azkaban. And he is real interested in this booktubing thing. Not so much booktube as much as just like YouTube. Like I've said before that like he was like, oh, I don't even know what you're doing in there or whatever. And then one of his friends at school said, hey, I think your dad is a YouTuber. And then all of a sudden it was cool. So he kind of wants to be on camera, but I'm not sure how that's going to work out. But I've talked to him about maybe doing a little co-partnering with me and talking about, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone, whichever version you have, and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. But the thing is he sees himself on camera and all he does is make faces, because, that's what you do when you're 7 or 8, right? So we'll see how that works, but I'd like to give him a shot here. And you guys, without kids, bear with me while I do stuff like that, because I'd like to talk about Harry Potter a little bit because I feel like Harry Potter's kind of gotten this thing now where it's like cool to make fun of it, and I don't know why. I don't think that looking at something that you liked when you were younger and looking at it in hindsight, you should have any derogatory views of it. And I also think that, just because nostalgia shouldn't either give it a pass. So I'd like to give a real logical look at the Harry Potter series because I'm not going to lie, I'm enjoying the hell. It's a nostalgia blast reading these to my kid and remembering what it was like the first time I read them or whatever. So maybe I could do another Why You Should Read on Harry Potter or something like that. That could be fun. Wouldn't be nearly as entertaining as what Murphy does with where she just Murphy Napier just kind of just breaks down Harry Potter in a way that's quite amusing. Check those out clearly if you haven't or whatever. But that's really the plans right now. Like I said, I just want to kind of touch base with you guys, let you know that just because I'm going to be putting the pedal down to finish Wheel of Time and then Dresden Files here in the next couple months, that there is going to be more on the channel than just those 2 things. So if you aren't just into spoilers for Dresden Files and Wheel of Time, you're gonna have plenty to watch and discuss with me here. So guys, thanks for sticking with me through this transition, and I'm really sorry about JordanCon. Obviously, that's nothing that was out of control or whatever. But I will still be doing this, and I'm still having a great time at the wheel and talking to you guys about it. And I hope you'll stick with me here till the end. So everybody, be safe, wash your hands, follow everything that they're telling you to do right now. Be safe, and I will talk to you guys in the comments.